Hello and welcome to Live Healthy West Virginia, the podcast brought to you by WVU Medicine, aiming to help everyone live a better, healthier life in West Virginia and beyond. I'm your host, Mary Ravazio Menard. More than 100,000 Americans are on the National Transplant Waiting List, and an estimated 5,600 of them will die each year while waiting for a life-saving transplant. April is National Donate Life Month, and you can save or heal up to 75 lives by donating your organs, your corneas, or your tissue. So today we're talking with Dr. George Sokos, a transplant cardiologist with the WVU Heart and Vascular Institute, to answer all your questions and bust some myths about organ donation. Welcome, Dr. Sokos, to Live Healthy West Virginia.
Thank you for having me. Again, it's like the second best day of my life being here.
Yes, that's awesome.
Joining with you. First was the first time I was here.
No, it wasn't the first time. So thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Sure thing.
So let's start with, organ donation in general. Who can be and who can't be an organ donor?
Yeah, I like to tell people you should just assume that you can be, and let us all figure that out on the back end, right? So I think it's really important for people to understand that you may not think you could be a donor based on some chronic disease that you may have, but you might be able to for tissue, cornea. You just never really know. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important for people to be willing to consider at least giving that gift. And I would say, just because you're on if you're an organ donor doesn't mean we try any less hard to save your life. I think that's one of the biggest myths that are out there. Oh, if I'm a donor, then they're just going to let me go so they can take my organs. Yeah. And, particularly, there are some horror stories out there. I understand that. There's some stories in the New York Times earlier this year and last year talking about those sorts of things. And that's just not who we are. That's not what we want. We're here to save lives. We're not here to take them. Right. And we want to do whatever we can to help more people live longer and better lives, because it's not about just keeping someone alive. It's about making them live a good life, a productive life. So that's the goal of transplant.
Excellent. What can be donated? I mean, of course, kidneys, lungs, hearts, but it's a lot more than that, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of things like again, cornea, other tissues, liver. We don't have a liver transplant program here, but hopefully, stay tuned for that. That's on the agenda. It's the goal of what things that we're looking to do. So I mean, lots of different things that can be donated. That's why I say you don't know until. So that's the job of the procurement companies. Like for ours, for example, is CORE. That's one of our partners, and they can help determine what can be utilized and what can't be.
Don't make any assumptions. No,
and I think the big thing is don't assume we're not scavengers, so looking for organs. Mm-hmm. But it can be felt, if things aren't approached in a proper way, it can feel that way, and no one ever wants anyone to feel that way as a family, because that's the most difficult time in someone's life. Someone unfortunately is passing away in order to be able to give that gift of life, and we respect that wholeheartedly, and it's super important that we do that so that people understand that we know it's a gift, and the recipient knows that too. Yeah. That's important.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the most common myth was, you're not going to take care of me if you know I'm an organ donor.
Right.
You're not going to save my life. So let's just let's bust all those myths.
Let's go through them.
Okay?
Right? Yeah.
All right. How about I'm too sick or too old to be a donor?
No, I think that, again, you never know until we're looked to see what could be utilized, whether that be typically the older someone is, the less likely you are to use a heart or a kidney or things like that. But other tissues can be used, so that's a possibility as well. People say, could it be against my religion?
Yes.
So that, I mean, again, most of the time that's not the case. Most religions, even a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses will be able to receive a transplant. So there's and then that's an individual decision on lots of these folks. So I don't want to say that.
Right.
I don't want to say that for everything. There's a little bit different for the most part.
Right.
Say,
in general.
In general, there's never an absolute in anything in life, right?
No, exactly. If I'm a registered organ donor, doctors won't do everything they can to save my life.
Yeah, so
We
that's
talked about that.
yeah, absolutely untrue. Absolutely, the total opposite. Actually, is as a matter of fact, if the more we do to try to save someone's life, the better the organs will be, even if we can't. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if we do everything we can, so there's a better chance of the organs being usable if we do everything we possibly can to save someone. So, so yeah, I mean, I'm usually on the other side of things, but
Yes.
as far as the people who need the like a heart transplant, but on the other side, we're doing everything we possibly can to save people too. So,
Yeah. How about I won't if I'm an organ donor, I won't be able to have an open casket viewing.
no, that's not true at all. That's not people. People won't even know. No one even know the difference.
You can't tell. If I need an organ, wealthy people or celebrities are pushed to the top of the list.
Yeah, no, not true at all. Particularly, I mean, not in this country. I
Well-
can't say what happens in other countries, but in this country, absolutely not.
That's not how it works.
No, most countries are that way anyway. I'm just saying, but in general, for sure, not here.
If I become a living donor for a kidney, I will live a shorter life with one kidney.
Yeah, this is super important. So we won't even, if we think that would be the case, and this is the kidney team. We have great colleagues on the kidney team that would look at this, but they do a lot of screening and making sure that you're healthy enough to be able to give up a kidney so that that doesn't shorten your life. Or so really important, because the last thing you want to do is give up your kidney for someone, and then you've essentially made your life more miserable. That's not the case at all.
Yeah.
We do a lot of screening to make sure that doesn't happen.
And this is where I do my shout out. I have two cousins that about 15 years ago, Amy and Gina. They're sisters. Gina needed a kidney. Amy donated. That was 15 years ago, and they are both living their best lives. I mean,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. That's what we want.
Yeah. I mean, they're wonderful. It's awesome. Here's another good one. What if I'm not really dead when they sign my death certificate? I might not really be dead.
Yeah, no. So
That's movie stuff, right?
It is. I mean, we do everything possible to make sure that someone actually is mainly brain dead, like that. And so there's not a chance. If there's a chance, then you're not dead. We don't move on to that pathway. So
Sure.
That's important. Again, there's a lot of horror stories out there, people talking about that, and that's why it's important to say, if you're not sure, then we don't go that way. And I think that's
Are these mostly urban legends, do you think?
Mostly, I'm not gonna lie. There are some stories out there that people were
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made. To say that doesn't happen is not true. I mean, because you lose trust of everybody if you don't tell the things that have happened like that. Those things have actually happened, and that was in papers. There's a reported on, and that's why we go that extra step to make sure that we're actually right when we're talking about those things. So. 100%. I don't want to scare people away from donating, and we're doing everything we can to make sure, and CORE's doing everything they can, and other organ donation companies are making sure that's not the case.
And what about, I can't afford to be a donor?
Not true. Doesn't cost you a thing. Everything's covered.
All right. That's not you're giving enough, right?
Yes. You gave everything you can.
Yeah. It's important to know that.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Did I leave anything out? Can you think of any other myths?
No, those are the big ones. I mean, I think people are like, well, I take on the assets of like the donor. Some people say like,
oh, okay,
yeah, and that's not true.
Okay.
Your personality is not going to change because you got it transplanted.
Okay. So if I get the heart of a grumpy person, I'm not going to become a grumpy person.
No, not because of that.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Now, I read where 85% of patients on the current waiting list, the transplant list, need a kidney. Now, there are two kinds of donation, right, for kidneys.
Right.
Deceased donor and living donor. What are the differences there? How does that work?
Yeah, so living donor is like, so for example, if I'm your brother and I say I'd like to give you my kidney, I can be tested. First of all, you're going to need to be tested, make sure evaluated by the whole team to be sure that you're going to be able to be a candidate for transplant and you'll do well. The whole point of us doing the evaluation for someone before a transplant is to make sure that you have the best chance to do well after you receive that transplant.
Right.
So that it's not wasting an organ or hurting you. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's more importantly, we don't want to hurt you.
Sure.
So that's tough for some people to hear that that you're not maybe a candidate. But if we feel that you can't do well, then we don't want to put you through that and do worse than you already are. Like
Right.
dialysis is not fun, but at the same time, we don't want to be responsible for someone not living at all. And if we do that on the wrong person, that could happen. So a living donor is like, okay, let's say you get evaluated, you're a candidate, and
Okay.
I want to give something to you, my kidney to you. That's a living donor because I would go to surgery, they would take one of my good kidneys and give it to you, and you would have now a functioning kidney.
And I found this out when I did an interview on this a few years ago, and it just blew my mind. I just think it's interesting that when you have a kidney transplant, they don't take out
No.
the old kidneys. They
No.
just, so if you're a receiver,
Yeah.
you have 3 kidneys.
You do.
And there's room for all that.
There is, and it just goes into the abdomen itself.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's too risky to try to take out the old kidneys. Which there's no reason to put you at risk to try to take out the kidney because that's a bigger surgery in itself.
Yeah.
And so, sewing a third kidney in the abdomen itself for it to be functional is how it works.
I just think that's interesting.
Yeah.
As far as living donor kidney transplants go, what are the advantages? Aren't those generally healthier?
Typically healthier. You can plan it. It's timing. It's all about the timing. Those kind. You're not rushing in. You can make sure that everybody's at their healthiest when that happens. There's lots of advantages, and people do well with those type of donations. People do well with other donations as well, but those are particularly you're getting a great match ahead of time.
Yeah. Now that's another question I had. Like if one of my sisters needed a kidney and I wasn't a good match, but somebody else, I mean, can you trade?
Yeah, it's really cool.
You make trades with other donors and donees.
Yeah, it's a really cool program. So like it takes a lot of planning. So you could say you have to be willing to say, okay, I'm willing to be a living donor, but I don't match who I'd like to donate to, but I'm willing to give up mine if there's another person out there whose match could benefit my significant other or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's definitely something that happens.
So you just kind of switcheroo
who
you're going to donate it to,
Yeah.
and the person you wanted to donate to gets it from somebody else, and
Correct.
that way you save 2 lives.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which is fantastic. And there's sometimes we get a lot of those together in the same kind of time period. It's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like it would take a lot of planning. But
It does. It's a lot of effort on the kidney team to make that happen.
But it can be done.
Absolutely.
It can be done.
100%.
Okay. Do you have to be the same gender or ethnicity to be a match? Can you donate a female kidney to, or a female heart to a male?
You can. And for the heart, it's all about sizing. So a female to male, it has to be typically, we call what we call oversized from a female to a male. So it has to be a little bit bigger female match to a man, just because muscle mass is different and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But we have formulas that we utilize to make sure things match right. Matter of fact, we were just talking about this morning. We were looking at donors for someone for a heart, and just make sure that would match up. So yeah, I mean, so those are things that absolutely can happen. Ethnicity doesn't. We're looking at, do you match for an antibody? Do your genes, everything, does the antibodies match so you're not rejecting the heart?
Okay. And do you have to be the same blood type?
You do. Well, not exactly. So
if you're the universal
if
donor.
your O can donate to an A, a B, and an O, but an O can only take O's.
Okay.
So for me, I'm an O. So
you can donate to anybody.
I can donate, but I can only receive from an O.
Another O. Okay. That makes sense. So let's talk a little more about heart transplants. That's your specialty.
Yes.
So are these more complicated? They sound like they would be much more complicated than kidney transplants.
No, I mean, I think if you ask a cardiac surgeon, they'll tell you their easiest surgery is a heart transplant because it's the easiest from a technique standpoint.
Okay.
Because they're basically clipping the old heart out and then sewing the new one in. I don't want to make that. It's not like it's simple, but I'm just saying, like, for them, they'll tell you that's their easiest surgery from a technical standpoint. There's a whole lot of other things that go along with it that make it more difficult. It's the pre-care, the post-care, making sure everything's working appropriately afterwards. But I mean, it's people do well, and so again, you just have to get. It's our job on the cardiology side to make sure that patient is ready as they can possibly be to when that call comes to they're going to do well afterwards.
And sometimes heart transplants can be, well, we talked about them being complicated, but a lot of times they're part of a double organ transplant, like lungs and heart. Or
heart and kidney. We do both of those two at the same time. So heart is always first, make sure that's going well, and then the kidney comes typically, when you're doing a heart and a kidney, it typically comes about 24 hours later.
Oh, wow. So is it two separate procedures?
Oh, yeah. Two separate people are doing the procedures. You have the cardiac surgeons doing that, and then you have the kidney and abdominal transplant surgeons doing the kidney.
That's amazing. That
takes a lot of coordination just because we need to make sure that everything's going well from the heart standpoint before you go forward with the kidney.
Sure. Then who's a good candidate for a heart transplant? Can you be too old to get a heart transplant?
So you can. So we,
What's that limit?
Well, I would say a soft number is 70, but we've transplanted someone over 70 if they're in good condition other than their heart.
Okay.
It depends on. There are some centers in the country that do more higher risk patients, older patients. And you just got to be careful. We're willing to do whatever we need to do, but we're not going to go super high risk, just because, again, it's got to be. We want our patients to do well afterwards, right? I tell people when people come here to become evaluated for transplant with us, I say, okay, you're about ready to become part of our family, because that's how we treat our patients. It's a small program. We do anywhere between 10 to 15 heart transplants in a year. I think we'll grow. We're still growing, so a lot of opportunity there. But we get to know our patients extremely well, and so we know all the little things, and that's the advantage of coming here over going to. I like to call it a conveyor belt. I'm not going to throw any other names out there, but I'm just saying, like, that's where we shine. We have that ability to understand every little thing and provide that almost concierge-like care to our patients.
Sure.
And I think our outcomes are great. We do a great job.
And who doesn't want that?
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to be treated like you're special, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when it comes to a heart transplant.
Right.
What else should we know about heart transplants? What kind of condition do you have to have where it comes to a point where you have to get a transplant?
Yeah, usually it's end stage heart failure, and that's someone who's had heart failure for a long amount of time that is starting to fail medications. We have great medications out there now to treat heart failure, and I don't want anybody to have a transplant, to be honest with you. If I can do anything I can do with the medications that help people live a fulfilling and good life, then that's what we want to do.
Wow.
So, but if that fails, then this is where transplant comes in. So, or someone can have an acute viral infection, like unfortunately, it can happen to a younger person. They come in, they've had a virus that attacks their heart.
And that enlarges the heart.
Enlarges, and it's weak, and it's something called myocarditis, or an acute inflammation of the heart, and the heart can be damaged. Unfortunately, that can happen too. There's multiple heart attacks. Can do it. So lots of reasons to have heart failure, and that's who ends up needing a heart transplant, or arrhythmias that can be life-threatening arrhythmias like ventricular tachycardia, where you need to be shocked over and over again. That can, if we're unable to stop that, we can put people on life support, something called ECMO, where we're doing
Oh,
We're doing the work of the heart and lungs for you. And if that doesn't calm down, then we can support you long enough to get a transplant.
Okay.
Lots of stuff. I mean, those are just some
Good to
things.
know. All right. So, how do you register to be an organ donor?
You can do it when you get your license. You can do it you can right through our website. You can here at WVU Medicine. There's a link where you can register to be an organ donor. It's pretty easy. It doesn't take much.
Okay.
I encourage everybody to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy to do it when you just have it on your driver's license.
It is. It's super easy.
Here's another question that I wondered: like, if I have on my driver's license that I'm an organ donor, but if for some reason when I pass, if one of my kids say, no, don't donate her organs, but I specified that I wanted my organs donated, can family members
That's a tough one.
override
So they can't
your wishes? Not that my kids would do that. But.
No, I mean, but really, that's why it's important to talk to your power of attorney. That's what you want, because they can override that and say, no, I know she said that, but she changed her mind. She just didn't have a chance to do that, or we don't. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. So I think it's really important that if you become an organ donor, you let your family know that this is something that you really want to do.
Okay, good to know. So talk a little bit about the expertise of our teams at the WVU Medicine Transplant Alliance and the WVU Heart and Vascular Institute. I mean, these are heavy hitters, right?
Yeah, we're really blessed with people who've trained at all the best places in the country. We have an expert team of cardiologists. We just brought on 3 new cardiologists this year that have done extra training in heart failure, heart transplant. Those kinds of things. So really blessed to have them on our team. Our surgeons are phenomenal, world-class surgeons, no doubt about that. And I think, but it's not just the doctor. So we get all the glory, I like to say, but the rest of our team, I think is probably more important than us. We have our transplant coordinators, our transplant pharmacists, we have financial people to make sure that, if you need a transplant, that you're not worrying about going broke or having to, how am I going to pay for everything? We work that out ahead of time. Social workers, if you need some assistance, those kinds of things. A dietitian, like I said, a pharmacist, make sure all the medications are right. All these things. It takes an army of us to really make this happen, and it's everybody's just as important as the next.
Yeah, and you don't have to leave the state
to
get this kind of care, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want that. We want to help everybody who needs our help here. And I think we'll do everything we possibly can to do that. And really want to. We want to try to make it as easy as possible. If we can do some things in your own hospital, as far as leading up to things, we try to make that happen. So the travel's less, as much as we possibly can to make sure it's safe. That's what we try to do.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I always say it's here in our front yard.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why I came here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from West Virginia. I wanted to come back to be able to do this, to be able to start the program, to be able to help it thrive, and that's important.
And it's really taken off.
Yeah,
hasn't it?
It's a great thing. To be able to see someone come in that sick and living a great life afterwards, it's extremely rewarding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's why we do it.
Yeah,
honestly,
I'll bet. So before we go here, what's the most important thing you want our viewers or listeners to know about organ donation?
I'd say don't be afraid. I mean, it's again, we are here to help people. Again, we're not here to be scavengers or hurt people. We're here to be the A team, the support team, whatever we need to be, kind of team. Remember, you're going to say, if you're a donor, you're going to save someone's life, probably more than one person's life. So it's an amazing thing. And particularly every year we get to see. We have a day where we pay tribute to all our donors from the state. It's extremely moving. I've been able to see several donor families with the recipient, and
oh wow!
One of my patients, his donor family, Unfortunately, it had small kids, and
Oh,
he
wow.
recorded his heartbeat and put it in a bear, and so that the kid could hear the heartbeat of his dad. So
Oh, wow.
it's and they actually ended up being extremely close and tight family, like family almost. So,
Yeah.
and that doesn't happen all the time, and some people don't want that, and that's okay too.
Right.
I'm just saying that's like one extreme.
Yes. Yes.
But just know, even if the family doesn't want to be, just know that someone out there is appreciative.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you want to know.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all this information
Absolutely.
with us. And it's, it's a wonderful, wonderful cause, wonderful, we're just so lucky to have it all right here.
Yeah, we are blessed to do that, and be able to provide that service and that gift. It really is a gift to people.
Yeah.
And we're doing everything we can to ensure that anybody who needs it can get it if able. And we want to get the word out there, though, that it's here. Obviously, we don't want to have to do that, but if someone would need it, that's something that's important. And we want there to be organs for people to be able to donate. But I don't want anybody to die, right? So obviously, but if that's going to happen anyway, you might as well help someone.
Leave a legacy.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of this edition of Live Healthy West Virginia. If you're interested in becoming an organ donor, visit registerme.org/WVU medicine. If you're looking for more information about organ transplant, visit wvumedicine.org/transplant. To find the latest episode of Live Healthy West Virginia, follow us on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/WVU medicine. And click on the Live Healthy West Virginia playlist, or search WVU Medicine to follow us on Spotify to find this podcast and all WVU Medicine podcasts. I'm Mary Ravazio Menard, and on behalf of Dr. Sokos and everyone at WVU Medicine, thanks for joining us.